Hey everyone, welcome back. Are you ready for another deep dive? This one is going to be pretty spooky.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a creepy one for sure.
So we asked you all about the Conjuring universe,
Uh,
and you definitely delivered some chilling excerpts. We're talking cursed artifacts,
mm,
demonic nuns,
don't forget the Warrens.
right, the Warrens, those paranormal investigators who inspired it all. And that's exactly what we're going to be digging into. The Conjuring universe, how it blends fact and fiction.
And why it's become such a horror phenomenon.
Now, to help us unpack all of this, we have our resident horror expert.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get into all the spooky details.
So let's start with the foundation of the whole Conjuring universe. Ed and Lorraine Warren, real-life paranormal investigators.
Whose cases, some more than others, became the inspiration for these films,
Right. I mean, they were controversial figures, no doubt, but their impact on pop culture.
especially in the horror genre, is undeniable.
So, for anyone who needs a refresher, who exactly were Ed and Lorraine Warren?
Well, they were this husband and wife team who dedicated their lives to investigating the paranormal. Ghosts, demons, haunted objects, you name it, they investigated it.
And some pretty high-profile cases too, right?
Oh, absolutely. The Perron family haunting, the Amityville horror. Some of their cases became the basis for major horror films even before the Conjuring universe came along.
Which, by the way, brings us to the first film in the franchise, The Conjuring.
A total game changer in the horror landscape.
Totally. It really brought the Warren story to a whole new audience. And like you were saying, it's based on a real case they investigated, the Perron family haunting in Rhode Island.
Yeah. And you know what I think really makes that film work so well? It feels so grounded in reality. Like the characters, the family dynamics, they feel authentic.
You're totally right. It's not just about jump scares. It's about the
Yeah.
characters and the emotional stakes.
Exactly. Director James Wan really knows how to create a sense of dread and suspense that just stays with you.
And speaking of staying with you, we can't forget the sequel, The Conjuring 2, London, the Enfield Poltergeist,
The mind
and
block.
Valak, the demonic nun.
You know, it's interesting how Valak, this character who wasn't even in the Warrens' original account of the Enfield case, became such a breakout star of the franchise.
Oh, for sure. She's terrifying. And her design, that habit, the pale face,
Yeah.
she's become an iconic horror figure.
Right. And I think she also taps into this deeper fear, of religious horror, of the idea that evil can exist even in sacred spaces.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, which delves into another one of the Warrens' cases.
The Orange Cheyenne Johnson case, right. The so-called A Devil Made Me Do It case.
Exactly. The first time in U.S. history where demonic possession was used as a legal defense. I mean, think about that for a second.
Yeah, that film really blurs the lines between the supernatural and our legal system. It makes you think about the nature of good and evil.
And free will.
Exactly. Like if someone is truly possessed, are they really responsible for their actions?
It's some pretty heavy stuff to grapple with. But that's one of the things that makes the Conjuring universe so compelling. It's not just about scares. It's about exploring these big questions.
Totally. And we haven't even gotten to the spin-offs yet.
Oh, right. The Annabelle films, The Nun.
Each one expanding the universe and adding another layer to the mythology.
It's crazy how one creepy doll started a whole series of its own.
Right. From a brief appearance in the first Conjuring to 3 films dedicated to her terrifying origin story.
It's like the Conjuring universe is this giant jigsaw puzzle, and each film is another piece that helps to complete the picture.
And with each new piece, the picture gets more and more terrifying. But it's more than just a puzzle. It's like this whole world of interconnected stories.
Yeah, you're right. It's like this tapestry of terror.
Exactly. And the spin-offs are where we really get to see that tapestry expand.
And arguably the most successful spin-off has got to be the Annabelle series.
Oh, absolutely. That creepy doll has become a horror icon in her own right.
I mean, who would have thought a doll could be so terrifying?
Right. But the films do a great job of fleshing out her backstory. It's not just about a creepy doll anymore. There's a whole mythology behind it.
Yeah, like in Annabelle. Creation, we see how the doll became possessed in the first place.
That tragic story of the doll maker and his family, it adds a whole other layer to the creepiness.
And it ties back into those recurring themes we see in the Conjuring universe, right?
Oh, definitely. Loss, grief, the dangers of dabbling with forces beyond our understanding.
And of course, the power of family, both for good and for evil.
Exactly. And Annabelle Comes Home, that one really takes things to a whole new level.
Oh yeah, when Annabelle basically throws a demonic house party and activates all those other cursed objects in the Warren's artifact room.
Talk about a nightmare scenario. That film is like a showcase for the wider world of the Conjuring universe.
And speaking of the artifact room, can we just take a moment to appreciate how creepy that place is?
It's like a museum of the macabre. Seriously, you walk in there and you can just feel the negative energy.
Right. Every object has a story, a potential gateway to some terrifying experience.
And, the films have only scratched the surface of what's in there.
Oh yeah, there's so much potential for future spin-offs just based on those objects alone.
Like, remember those ferryman coins from Annabelle Comes Home?
Oh yeah, that whole concept of paying for your passage to the afterlife. So creepy.
And those coins, they act as this physical link to the ferryman's realm, blurring the lines between life and death.
And let's not forget about that spooky samurai armor that's always lurking in the background. I feel like they're totally setting that up for something.
Right. It's like a visual cue that something bad is about to happen. You see that armor and you know things are about to get intense.
I feel like the filmmakers are just playing with us at this point. Like, how much can we tease before we actually give you a full-blown samurai ghost story?
Oh, for sure. They're masters of suspense. They know how to keep the audience on the edge of their seats, just waiting for the next big scare.
And you know what else they're masters of? Weaving together these interconnected storylines.
It's what makes the Conjuring universe so unique. It's not just a bunch of standalone films. It's this grand, overarching narrative.
And that's where Velek comes back into play.
Oh, yeah. Our favorite demonic nun, she's more than just a scary face.
Right. Her story, her connection to Lorraine Warren, it hints at something much bigger, much more sinister.
Like this ancient battle between good and evil, a war that's been raging for centuries.
And we're just catching glimpses of it, little pieces of the puzzle being revealed with each film.
And then there's the whole demonic hierarchy, adding another layer of complexity to the universe.
Like Velek is just one player in this larger game.
Yeah.
Right? What else is out there? What's pulling the strings?
It's enough to keep you up at night.
You know what else keeps me up at night? Thinking about how they're going to top themselves with the next film.
Right. With a franchise this successful, the pressure is on to deliver something truly spectacular.
But I have faith in them. They haven't let us down yet.
Yeah. And with so much material to draw from, the possibilities are practically endless. Like, imagine a film where all these entities we've seen, Annabelle, Valak, the Ferryman, they all come together.
Oh my God, like a horror version of Avengers
Yeah.
Endgame.
Exactly. That would be insane.
The Warrens versus a whole army of demons. I can't even imagine the scale of that battle.
And it would be a fitting culmination of everything the Conjuring universe has been building towards.
I'd buy my ticket right now if I could.
Yep.
But even if they don't go that route, there's still so much they could do.
Oh, yeah, for sure. They could delve deeper into the Warrens' past, explore more of those cases that were just hinted at in the films.
Or what about a film that focuses on a specific object from the artifact room? We've already seen how well that worked with Annabelle. Imagine the possibilities.
The potential is there. It's just a matter of choosing which terrifying path to take next.
Well, before we get too carried away with our speculation, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground already, but there's still more to come.
We'll be right back to talk about the future of the Conjuring universe and what terrifying tales might be in store for us. Okay, so we've talked about the past and the present of the Conjuring universe. But what about the future?
Oh, man, the possibilities are endless.
Right. It feels like this franchise is just getting started.
I mean, think about it. We've got this whole demonic hierarchy to explore.
A museum full of cursed objects just waiting to unleash their own brand of horror.
The Warrens' backstory.
And the potential for even more spin-offs.
Oh, yeah. Where do they even go from here?
Well, that's what we're going to talk about now. Speculation time.
My favorite time.
So let's go back to the artifact room for a sec. Each one of those objects is like a potential film in itself.
Oh, totally.
Remember we were talking about that creepy samurai armor?
Oh, yeah. The one that's always lurking in the background.
I feel like that's got to be leading somewhere.
Right. What if the next film is all about that armor?
Like it comes to life, possessed by the spirit of a vengeful samurai warrior.
Ooh, I like that. A story about honor, betrayal, and ancient curses.
And it could even tie into those modern-day fears we have about technology, you know?
Well, like, what if the samurai spirit can somehow hijack our devices?
Ooh, that's a good one. A cyber samurai ghost story.
Creepy.
Totally creepy. And that's just one object. Think about all the other potential stories hiding in that room.
Seriously, the possibilities are mind-boggling.
Okay, but let's zoom out a bit. What about the larger story arc of the Conjuring universe?
What do you mean?
Well, we've seen Annabelle, we've seen Velak, we've got hints of this demonic hierarchy. Could we eventually see a film where all these different entities converge?
Oh, wow, you're talking about a massive crossover event.
Like a horror version of Avengers Endgame.
I mean, it would be
Can
insane.
you imagine the Warrens having to team up with all the survivors from the previous films?
The Perron family, Sister Irene from The Nun, maybe even someone who escaped the ferryman.
It would be epic.
And terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The ultimate battle of good versus evil.
I would totally watch that.
Me too. But even if they don't go the crossover route, there's still so much they could do.
Totally.
Like, what if they did a period piece set during the Salem witch trials?
Oh, that would be cool.
Or a film that explores the mythology of a different culture?
I'm here for all of it.
So, I think it's safe to say that the Conjuring universe is far from over.
Definitely not.
And that's what makes it so exciting.
It's like we're on this wild ride, and we have no idea where it's going to take us next.
But we know it's going to be scary.
Oh, yeah, that's a guarantee.
All right, well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the Conjuring universe.
That was fun.
It was. We covered a lot of ground, from the real-life Warrens to the terrifying world they helped create on screen.
We talked about cursed dolls, demonic nuns, and so much more.
We even got to speculate about the future of the franchise.
Which is always a good time.
So thanks for joining us on this spooky journey.
And until next time, sleep tight. And don't forget to check under the bed.
And behind the closet door, you never know what might be lurking there.